Get ready to be inspired by the people, stories, and opportunities in Africa. We're a global community of Africans and friends of Africa with no boundaries. Together, we celebrate the continent's successes and help provide solutions to some of its greatest challenges. Impact Africa airs live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. You can also catch previous episodes on iTunes and on the show's website, impactafricaonline.com. Connect with Impact Africa on Twitter and Facebook at @UImpactAfrica. Together, we'll discover that the real Africa is full of amazing talents and great opportunities.
Welcome to Impact Africa. It's been a month since I've been here because I've been back and forth to Nigeria. I lost my dad, and I haven't really been ready to face the camera. So today I thought I'd come back to the show because I've missed doing the show, but I thought I'd bring an ally with me, somebody to co-host the show with me today. And I'm going to let Nana say a little bit about herself and what she does, and maybe one fun thing about her.
Okay, so as she said, I'm Nana. It's Nana Ama Afari-Dwamena, Ghanaian origin. I am currently a health researcher here in DC. Something fun, let's see. Well, I'm ambidextrous. Is that fun?
What does that mean?
I can use both hands. I'm left-handed and right-handed.
No way.
I'm serious.
That's not true.
I pick and choose. I really do. Because I started out left-handed, and my parents pretty much told me, no, you have to...
African parents,
yes,
no, that doesn't work.
I was trained to use my right hand.
Oh, really? So you can use both?
I can. I alternate whenever I want.
Wow. Oh, my! You're the first person I've ever met in my life who can do that.
That's kind of the only thing. Anytime anyone's like, oh, well, tell us something interesting about yourself, I'm like, well... I don't know if there are a lot of people in the world that are ambidextrous, but yay, that's me. I do
Wow, that is like some serious talent. And Nana is from Ghana.
Yes.
And, I didn't plan this, but our first guest today is actually an African-American who went to Ghana.
And to be honest with you, when you sent me the invitation to be on the show today, and I saw, you gave me a little information about Ernest, I was just like, okay, well, this is something to talk about. Because,
yes.
I mean, it's always great to hear people's perspective when they've never been.
Exactly.
To, you go from that whole flies and poverty, and you go to Ghana, you see... Hey, I lived. I did exactly
I didn't die.
the same thing that I did
Exactly. People actually live in houses.
Yeah.
And, so I'm going to introduce Ernest. Ernest Owens is an award-winning multimedia journalist and editor-in-chief of Olani magazine. He's originally from Chicago, Illinois. He graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. He's currently a contributing writer for USA Today and the Huffington Post, and his work has been featured on Al Jazeera, the Oprah Winfrey Network, The Root, and he's won so many awards. So I'm really delighted to, welcome Ernest to the show today. And we're going to be chatting with him about the article he wrote called 5 Lessons Traveling to Africa Taught Me About Being Black in America. Ernest, welcome to Impact Africa. Ernest?
Oh, I'm very excited to have you.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to Impact Africa.
Oh, thank you. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I have Nana here, and Nana is originally from Ghana, so she is very happy to talk to you about your visit to her homeland as well.
Hi, Ernest.
Wonderful.
So let me start by asking you, what prompted you to go to Ghana, especially at a time when everybody was running away from Africa, plain and simple. It wasn't about Ghana not being affected by Ebola. People just heard you were going to Africa and they just wanted to quarantine you. Why did you go at that kind of time?
Well, for me, I've been curious about going to Africa numerous times before, and I didn't necessarily have a lot of, let's say, support or people around me that I could go. I didn't want to go by myself. I couldn't go abroad. I was always busy during my undergraduate years. And I was fortunate enough to have a good friend of mine who is actually from Ghana, who has a lot of prestige and recognition there. His name is Dr. Kingsley Fletcher, and he's a mentor of mine, and he's a traditional ruler of the Shed region in Accra. And he was a great mentor of mine, and he sponsored my trip to go. And so I was there for 10 days, and I was able to travel the region. I saw really wonderful, nice parts. I saw developing areas. I kind of got a very holistic view of progress and opportunities that was there in the area. I was in Tama, I was in Accra, I was in many other different parts outside, and it was a great experience.
Fantastic. Nice. Do you have any?
Well, when you say you were when you said the trip was sponsored, is this someone who is he from Ghana? And in terms of, well, it's one thing. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, did you get a chance to see Ghana outside of this person?
Yes, I did. I was able to really see different areas. One thing I loved about it, especially, was that I was able to meet people that had a lot of influence in the area: publishers, writers, diplomats, politicians. I even visited the universities that was in the area, and saw college students that was there as well, and people around my age, and just different people having different experience and background. And that, to me, was one of the most rewarding experiences, because a lot of times when you're watching Africa on television, you don't see the depictions of a thriving community. Not even South Africa, because I think they kind of view South Africa as that, spotlight. But they don't talk about Ghana as much. They don't really talk about other countries except Nigeria. I feel like Nigeria, sometimes Kenya, but South Africa and Nigeria tends to be in Egypt tends to be the three leading countries those spotlighted by Africa, but they'll leave out Ghana, they'll leave out Cameroon, they'll leave out all these other, 50 independent nations in the continent. So they leave them out. And that was something that I really wanted to use Ghana. And then Ghana is a very peaceful nation, which a lot of people don't know. They think all African countries are in conflict and war everywhere, and everything's like Sudan and Darfur, but that's really politically incorrect. And it was just something eye-opening, and it was something I definitely knew that from those experiences that I had there, I wanted to take back and share.
And you mentioned a very, very, very valid point, which is when people talk about Africa, they're talking about, there might be a war in a very tiny village in a very tiny country, and the next thing people are talking about it and they are blowing it up like that's what the entire Africa is about. But one thing that I really like, that really struck me actually in your article in Huffington Post, was you said, when visiting the former Elmina slave castles near the coast of Ghana, I felt a sudden sense of immediate anger, emotion, and frustration in how much of the manipulation and strategic disenfranchisement blacks faced, and then they're still being, those things are still prevalent today. Same crap, just a different day. And, I thought that was very relevant, because now we're talking about Eric Garner, we're talking about Michael Brown. It's a different narrative, but it's the same story. I totally understand that. And I have been to that same castle, the Emina Castle. I have been, to the plantations in South Carolina. But today, nobody wants to talk about the issues that blacks are facing, whether in the continent or in America. Short of, sounding like we're angry black people, what really can we do to keep these issues in focus?
Well, I think that there needs to be a united dialogue where, and what's interesting, and I thought it was fun, I went to the 22nd annual, it was a film festival, New York, 22nd annual African Diaspora International Film Festival, which was taking place from November 28th till today. Today was the last day. And I went to a presentation of a film called Bound, which is called Africans versus African Americans. And it's directed by Perez O'Neill, who's Indian. And the film comes out in February online, so it's going to be everywhere. But they had the first New York screening actually on Friday. So I was there as a speaker on a panel about the discussions. And what I think was powerful about it was we were there for like maybe 3 hours. We saw the film, we had a reception, and we had a question and answer session. And what I realized in the experiences is we had people all across the diaspora, Caribbeans, Haitians, African Americans, and then many people from the continent of Africa that were there, and we had different discussions about colorism, body image, interracial dating, topics about slavery, just so many different topics.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that there's not that many forums where people have these discussions and be honest, because there was a brutal honesty. The documentary was really, really great. And I think what I learned is that there's not enough closed-door conversations for us to talk in-house, because I think what has happened is that, because this is the point I made across the forum, is that there's so many, society and the media has generalized us to the point where they don't allow us to have different nuances and personalities and inflections and different ideas. It's kind of, everyone's black, and it's
and you're all the same.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be united on the same front for everything. So every time we do get together, it's about mobilizing to protest, or we're doing an event together, or we're doing, talking about other issues outside of looking in-house and reflecting on ourselves. And what has happened is there's been a natural break in separation, because we're trying to unite with people that have our similar identities, where you'll see Africans unite with Africans and African Americans unite with African Americans, and not necessarily come together, because we are beginning to see rifts and not share similarities. So naturally, people are going to always separate. But the problem is that if you look at Europeans, and you look at Asians, and you look at every community have those types of issues. But for us, because we've been marginalized and oppressed, cross-continental oppression, we don't necessarily have, but we have a geographic divide in addition to our cultural divide, and so that makes it harder for us to, have a conversation like that we had to form. So to answer your question, we can have those conversations if we actually create situations where the focus is like, look, we're coming not to talk about, per se, Ferguson or Ebola, or talk about protesting, but let's talk about each other. Let's understand some of the confusions we have about each other, and let's, figure out solutions to resolve those issues. Because there's not a lot of those conversations, because I think we're there's a level of shyness or timidness or embarrassment to think, wow, all black people are not united on everything. And I think that is dirty truth that we have to put out for the rest of the world, and just look, we're all black, we're all united, we have to grin everything. But everyone has the rift. If you go to the Middle East, if you go talk to people of Jewish faith, there's Orthodox and unorthodox. There's different separations in all communities. It's not really African, diaspora problem. It's rift everywhere. Even with Asians, Indians, South Asians, East Asians, North Korea, South Korea, they don't get along. But there's different rifts in all these different cultures that they somewhat don't address either. But I think because we are separate from each other, and because we already have faced so much, exploitation that we've caused and we've played a part to ourselves, people don't want to talk about. But even within the largest scale of the world, we don't have the room and the space, the capacity to give ourselves to say, look, everything is not peachy, everything is not perfect. Let's figure out each other, because I always say, if you can't fix what's in your own house, how can you fix a larger part of the world?
And you know what? I agree with him. We don't have to be in Nigeria, for instance. People have about 200 different dialects, and when people are going to talk, Nigerians, we're not really one Nigeria. So how can there be one? Black race. But do you have another question? Because this is your
something to add to it. So I'm thinking in terms of the Elmina Castle that you went to. I happened to go there when I was a kid through excursions with my school, and this sense of anger that you felt, I never felt it, or I never understood what I was being introduced to. So moving here and growing up here and really understanding slavery in general, because I would say this, slavery is not part of the narrative in schools, at least when I was in Ghana. That's not what I was learning. So to come here and really see that or learn that, and you have conversations with people. Of course, your family is not first generation, so they're more, these African Americans are here, we Africans are there. But you learn as you work with other kids. You're like, no, fundamentally we're the same.
Yeah.
There's nothing different between you and I.
Yeah.
We definitely don't have the same foundations in terms of my ancestors are still from the motherland.
Yeah.
And so I understand that difference, but it's still the same thing. We're still black, and those issues are not discussed within Africa, and it's not discussed within here. It's like we're not talking about what needs to be talked about, which is, hey, we also played a huge role in terms of the slavery. Like let's start that conversation.
Let's own it.
Let's own it.
Yes.
Let's start that conversation. Let's add that into our the curriculum. Let people know about it. So now I can go to Elmina Castle now and actually feel that sense of anger.
Yes.
Because it's not that I'm more mature, I'm an adult. I think it's because now I understand.
You're more
that,
aware.
yes, what has happened to us black people.
Yeah.
And when I say black people, I'm saying everyone with a black race. Everyone wants to do this whole, you're African, I'm not African.
Everyone whose hair looks like mine and yours.
I have Indian in me. Fundamentally, when it comes to race is race. Ethnicity is a whole different thing, and I think that's also that divide that people, I guess your definition wise, people need to just understand their definition, because when I walk down the street, no one screams, hey African girl, hey black girl. I look like any black woman on the street. So I think that narrative, I think we need to really encourage that conversation on the continent and here as well, in the African diaspora. We need to talk about it. We need to actually face it and address it
and own it. And and that's really one of the reasons why we're creating a platform like Impact Africa, because what I hear from both of you is we need to talk. Yeah. And are we going to go, on CNN and start talking about, Africa, please,
CNN
no.
Sensationalizing
yes,
everything.
Exactly. People, when they talk about Africa, they're talking about something else, about their agenda, about aid, about poverty. But we need more, forum for black people like this, Impact Africa, every outlet out there to start having conversations, and so that we can see how we're the same and not necessarily different. Yeah, and that's really where I'm going. Before I let you go, Ernest, I want to ask you something. You said Black America can learn from Africa. What was the biggest thing you, as an African American, learned from the motherland?
Well, I think one thing that I did learn is that we can see success, and that's an imminence, collectively of our diaspora in Africa, which I think we lack here in America. There is a very fractured level of black success and excellence displayed in this country. When I went to Ghana, there were so many. Some of the events I went to, and just being around doctors, such as so many black men and women with doctorate degrees and political positions and prestige and influence, and I, dwelled and just so much, it's well traveled. I mean, speak multiple languages, just inventors and doctors and academics and so many creative, artistic, cultural figures in one place. And this was something that they worked together. They were more visible in shaping their communities. And it just would surprise you if you're someone who was just consuming the media 24/7 on the Western side. And I think that seeing that, just and being in a comfortable space where there wasn't a white gaze per se, because it wasn't me. I mean, when I went to Ghana, most of the events I went to, it wasn't any white people there, and we were the majority. And to see that, and to kind of have this comfort of walking down the street and not thinking about being harassed or being bothered or law enforcement, or just there was an ease. There was a level of, when I walked out the door, this is maybe what white privilege feels like. I wondered. I can't imagine. Just walking out the house and just not having to worry about how I walk and how I talk and what I say. It was just this ease. It was like a level of ease that everybody was family and familiar and safe, and there was this awkwardness when I went to the store, like someone looked at me like I was going to steal from the store. Everyone was just very, you weren't a threat. I didn't feel like a threat walking out the door compared to America, where there's different areas you go, you have to change it up, you have to people are going to look at you, especially as a black male, as a problem even before you were on site. And I didn't feel that when I was in Ghana. I kind of felt more just hanging out, just chill. I just felt like everywhere I went, I was like, I didn't have to worry, do the switch, as they say in America.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one of the things that, even though I knew this, I think a lot of people will know it's okay to be black, and that's not how we are all over the world, and that we're not a pariah, we're not a group, a problem. We're not a problem. That's only an American issue in the sense of, there's racism across the world, but that whole idea of just being black as an international threat across the world, it's not. And it's more of a problem here, and it's contextualized, institutionalized. But if you was going to Ghana, being black is not at the same level. Going to Africa, for the most part, is not the same experience. Because a lot of times Americans think we're on the forefront of everything. So you're thinking, if you're in this advanced first world country, whatever we're doing is going to be the best solution. And I think when I went to Africa, and especially when I went to Ghana, I realized maybe that's not all the way true. Maybe that's just something that we've been brainwashed with consistently through the years of thinking that the treatment of our people here and everything here is the best across the board. But I've changed the tone towards that. I'm thinking like maybe capital economic, success is maybe there, but socially, we're not as advanced as we could be here compared to other countries. And that's one thing that I definitely learned and took back, was that if you think this is the best way of living as far as socially and comfort, just again, go to Africa.
And and that's very brilliant. That's excellent. That's really profound, because honestly, being Africans from the motherland, Nana, money is not everything. Yes. It's not all about the big house. What's the point of living in the fancy neighborhood in the big house, and then you cannot go out with a bag of Skittles and somebody wouldn't shoot you down? Exactly. Yeah, but thank you so much, Ernest, and it's really been a pleasure having you on the show. I'm glad you enjoyed your visit to Africa. We hope to have you back again and again and again, and hopefully have more African Americans going home to discover.
Yeah.
Ernest, I have one question, and this is just an aside. So while you were in Ghana, what was one of your favorite dishes that you had? Then I'll say this: we make some of the best food.
Oh no!
Yes.
Down.
So it was so difficult. The thing about the trip was the food. The food was like one of the most interesting things, because I purposely did not want to eat anything American. There was one time where we was in a rush and we had KFC there, which was just not at all the same as America. There was like stuff missing. There was like KFC and Accra somewhere, and we ate. I was like, oh my god! Because I personally did not want anything American at home. And everything I had, we had yummy yogurt drinks, and there was this thing called oh my gosh, it was a sparkling. I'm forgetting. You know what it is. It's a pear drink. It's in glass bottles. What is it called? They always have it. I was just drinking a lot of it, and it was so good. It was in green bottles, and it was like a sparkling. They had 3 different flavors: pineapple, pomegranate, I think it was, and then it was a pear, and it was It was a very great drink, and it was like a beverage. It wasn't alcoholic though, but it was like all the time. I kept drinking it, and I love it. That's what I drank the whole time. But my dishes was beef stew, banku. Plantain, red. There was a thing called red, and I love that.
Red is always on the list. Like
red was amazing.
As long as you don't say jollof rice, because
I'm. No. Alvaro. The drink was called Alvaro. That was the drink was called Alvaro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm very glad that you didn't say jollof rice, because I'm Nigerian, and we make the best jollof rice in the world. Hands down.
Well, we had jollof rice there, but I didn't. I was eating so much other things, but they did have jollof rice there. But
you sound like you weren't impressed by our jollof.
How can he be impressed by your jollof? How can the Nigerians? If you come to Nigeria and you have jollof rice, you're going to be so happy. So I'm looking forward to taking you to Nigeria.
Well, I grew up in Houston, so there's a lot of Nigerians there. So I've had it. Yeah, I grew up in Houston, so I had a lot of friends that was from Nigeria that when they had a big event, I was invited to like weddings, I went for
Yeah.
some of these different events, and I had it there. So I can only imagine what it's like in Nigeria. But
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ernest,
you.
for coming on the show. And we wish
was
you all
great.
the
It was a great
best.
experience.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
I'm very glad we started with this one because when we come back, we're going to really go into a very heavy, deep topic.
Oh boy.
So this is Impact Africa. Don't go away.
What's the next?
Right. Okay. So how did it feel like when, first of all, how does it feel like being in this kind of situation?
Now there is no help from the government.
Okay.
There is no place to stay. There is no accommodation. So the only way we can help ourselves is just to get a place to stay. So start with this place is a market. It's not a place to live. But because of the situation that there is no house, no accommodation, you just have to stay in the shop. In that shop to accommodate. It's not really convenient. You don't have to at least just to pass time. Some other things. When it's morning, go out there for something. Also come back.
What do you want for yourself? What's something different?
I'm not placed with a position of just
Then their father is helping out. Have you ever been in a case where a man hit you? Yes. How did it feel? Did you respond back? As in, just it was nothing. You couldn't do anything about it. Thank you so much. He said he was going to. So, how did it feel like?
so bad. It's just what I can't help the situation. I just have to go on with my life down. In the sense that since the guy has done something he wants to do, so you just start taking care of children the way you want to take care of them. Just start from the way you can adapt. You start from the tip. Because you can't be so large, come down to the level to the guy has come. Since no, you cannot take children's privacy. You just have to give them a context. You cannot give them the world's context now. How you can adapt just to pass the next one. I believe in that. Thank you.
You are listening to Impact Africa. To connect with the program, please call 1-443-499-2755. That's 1-443-499-2755. You may also send an email to info@impactafricaonline.com or tweet @UImpactAfrica. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to Impact Africa. So after that first very happy break, very happy segment where we had Ernest who went to Ghana and who didn't say his favorite dish from Ghana was jollof rice. By the way, I hope you got that, because we Nigerians, I don't know what Senegalese will say about this, but we Nigerians make the best jollof rice. But I'm still back with Nana, who is keeping me company today and doing, a fantastic job. I hope this is your first radio
Yes,
experience.
it is.
Oh,
I actually am
yes.
surprised at how well I'm speaking. I was just saying to myself, what if I just, fumble on my words?
No, you will not.
It's
Yeah,
actually,
you can do.
it's actually very enjoyable because there's no one to look at and no one to, make me feel nervous. So
Oh,
I
really?
think
And
this
that's
is-
what makes me nervous. The fact that I can't see people's reaction. I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I saying?
Yeah,
So-
I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, now we're going to get into a very maybe sobering aspect of something I hate to call, part of our culture because it's not, but it's something that is really eating deep into, African communities, both in the diaspora and back home. I'm talking about the issue of violence against women and children. And I have two people on here with me today. I have Onime Ugbowi. She is a filmmaker from Nigeria. And I also have Abolade Durojaiye. She's based in Houston. Onime is a filmmaker in Nigeria, like I said, and her upcoming project is titled Battered. It's a movie about violence against women and children in Africa. Abolade is a consultant and advocate for women and youth development. These amazing women are attempting to discuss an issue we don't often talk about, especially in African communities. But this is an issue that is taking more lives and more minds than many diseases. Onime's sister and friend were victims of domestic abuse, but nothing was done about those cases. And when they walked out from their marriages, they were both made to feel like they were the problems, like they were bad wives. So now, people are looking at them like they're doing something wrong for wanting to empower themselves. And Abolade herself is no stranger to this issue because she's a survivor. Onime's project is raising money on Indiegogo right now. So I'm hoping that when you listen to her and listen to the project, you will go and help them raise their target amount of $30,000 because the campaign ends on December 20th. Onime, welcome to Impact Africa.
Oh, thank you so much, Tope.
And Abolade, you're welcome as well.
Thank you, Tope.
I want to start with Abolade, and I want you to please lay the groundwork for us here. How bad is the issue of domestic violence, especially against women in African communities? What's the statistics like?
Well, I think for documented cases that we know are collected by the CDC, information that is reported to them by hospitals and police stations and police departments countrywide annually, the statistics are 1 in 3 women have been exposed to some form of family and domestic violence. And there are different forms, psychological, emotional, physical, sexual, financial, and so on and so forth. So if the statistics are so high, and we know that women generally do not report, they don't come to a place where they cry for help the minute the abuse starts, then it's safe to say that the statistics would be much higher in the Nigerian community, in the diaspora.
Wow.
Because as a culture and tradition, we're not, as they say, allowed to air our dirty laundry in public. So women have been conditioned to understand that they're not supposed to talk about these things. And those who have even tried to talk about it have been shut down by family members. Some of them have gone back home with their suitcases saying this man is me, and have been escorted back to the man's house by the family members saying, go and work things out with your husband.
Wow.
And so the biggest part of my job is an awareness project.
Wow.
To start going into nooks and crannies and celebrated places to talk about this issue and make it a front burner issue.
And thank you very much. I'm very glad that you're trying to do that because that is, this is an issue that people don't want to talk about. And I want to ask you, Nana, how is this in the Ghanaian community? Is it as prevalent as we have it?
I think it's very similar in terms of, as she mentioned, keeping your dirty laundry, hidden from everyone. It's very, very similar. I mean, it's similar across a lot of things aside from, domestic violence. It's the issue of sex, where you don't talk about sex. So it's like we're very much similar in how we handle some of our cultural issues.
We don't only speak the same language and eat the same food. We also share the same
Yes,
bad habits.
definitely.
Onime, let me ask you. You watch somebody go through this issue, how did you know? Was your sister and was your friend, were they forthcoming? How did you know that they were going through this issue?
Yes, they were actually forthcoming, when it happened. But because of the society we live in, we'd always try to, okay, let's go and talk to the husband, see how we can settle it. It was never a case of, okay, can we report this? This is an assault. We looked at it as it was a marital problem. That was how it was looked at. We were thinking of what people would say. So it was all about, okay, let's see how we can settle this problem. That was the issue.
And honestly, one of the things, when I was reading your campaign, your Indiegogo campaign, when I was reading your narrative, you said there was a Nigerian lawmaker who said that when women actually go to the police station to report that their husbands have beaten them, the police would tell them, go home and be a good wife.
Exactly. The problem starts from the mindset of Nigerians. We already have this mindset that without a man, a woman is nothing. That how can you survive? You see a successful woman, the first thing that goes through the Nigerian mind is she married? If she's not married, then there's something wrong. So already there's a mindset. So when you're married and those issues come up, it's like, how can you leave your husband? It's like a failure on the woman's part. Nobody's talking about the man. It's everybody's putting blame on the woman. What did you do? What did you do? The failure is on the woman. That's the problem.
And that is very interesting because Abolade, I think you would have something to say about this, because when you and I were talking on the phone yesterday, you mentioned this same point that Onime just talked about. A woman is not complete without a man, and when the man is, God forbid, a batterer, the woman is being told, just stop saying whatever it is you're saying that is making him beat you.
Fix yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely, because the problem is the community being able to accept that abuse is a disease. First, you have to accept that it's a problem, and that it is not the victim's responsibility. The victim didn't beat on herself. And they don't understand that. They think that there's something that you must do to trigger that kind of behavior in another person. But they never put the scenario that the person doesn't beat on people at their workplace when they have disagreements or arguments.
They don't beat their bosses.
The power and control situation, yes. They won't slap their boss or their subordinate at work.
Yeah.
It's a power and control issue.
Wow. Power. And but Nana, I'm sure you definitely have a question. But I want to ask you a question first of all. Is it, this is a power and control issue, and I don't know about other communities, but as Africans, is it more difficult for us to accept because we're used to powerful people being men, plain and simple? In the offices, in the political spaces, is it hard for men or even women in general to accept that women can also share some of these powerful positions?
I think that answer could be, answered in that question could be answered in different ways. I don't think every African man, or just the African narrative is that men are always going to be in power. I think there's so many examples that have been proven that women are doing a lot in our African communities.
Absolutely.
But I also think it's all about empowering some women. And some women may be doing great, and there are women who need to be empowered. And this idea that you need a man, and if a man is abusing you, you stay there, is something that you keep hearing from your grandmother, your mother. It's being passed on. So I think it depends on who is answering the question. But I think there's space and there's room for men doing great and women doing great.
Absolutely. But I'm sure you have a question, so I won't stop you from asking.
Well, I think I was going through some of your questions you sent me. So how does religion play a role in some of these cases, and what are churches or the mosque doing to address some of these issues? Because you would think they would be the forefront of the conversation.
I think Abolade might have something to say because, again, we discussed that yesterday. What do you think?
Yes. Well, I think that, man's misinterpretation of God's word always helps perpetrate man's life. So if you know that you yourself are a batterer,
or you don't think that what a batterer does is wrong, but was caused by the bad behavior of the wife, then you're going to look for scripture to support your opinion and your perspective. And people quote the Bible all the time very wrongly to support their bad action because they don't want to change or are not ready to change or have not identified that they need to change.
Interesting.
I also have another question. So I know studies have shown that in terms of gender-based violence, when you include men in the narrative, it does make the situation less. It makes the situation better, right? So what, in terms of the campaign that you have now, how are you incorporating men into the discussion, into the narrative, so they can see, okay, well, what can I do to, educate my fellow man about, putting my hands on a woman, or just including men in the conversation? That way it's accepted. That's what I mean.
Yeah. And that's very, that's very interesting. And I know Abolade might have something to say, but I want Onime to talk about that, because one of her collaborators on this movie project is a man. So Onime, why did you involve a man, and how is that making a difference?
Okay, I did involve a man because this situation we're going through, it's like I said, it starts from a mindset. There is already a mindset in Nigeria. There's a way marriage should be. Like she said, the woman is always supposed to be quiet when you go through that situation. Now, that brother I involved, he has a lot of friends. He had a friend that was sleeping with a knife under a pillow because of her husband. She was calling him from London that she's scared for her life, that she had to sleep with a knife under a pillow. He was telling me about it, and I was like, wow, because my sister was going through that same situation at that moment. Now, how we can educate the men is by, I think, empowering the women. If you look at my tagline, it's empowering African women, because if the women cannot stand up for themselves, the men will always accept the situation. So it starts from the women. We have to empower ourselves. The mindset has to change. First of all, you are somebody without a man. You are beautiful. You are unique. You don't need a man to make you complete. You come as a complete woman into the marriage. Two complete people coming in. Then when that woman is empowered, then, because a lot of times in Nigeria, these signs are there. When women get into these marriages because they feel, I'm alone, I'm single, I need to get married. So the signs were there. So it starts from empowering the women, and the women would empower the men.
That's very interesting. Abolade, do you have something to add to that about involving men in this conversation?
Oh, yes, very much so. We have programs for men where they're gender-based programs where they confront gender-based jokes. So if they're sitting in a circle of men and a man is being derogatory towards a woman in the way he's speaking, they call them to order. They confront suspected abusers, and then they do inward reflections themselves, and then they mentor youth. So if they're in a circle where they're teaching youth, we call them 7 pillars of a healthy relationship, then they themselves will be living their truth. But there's also the Battered intervention program, which is the 18-week course that people who have been batterers in relationships have to go through to learn how to function in a healthy relationship.
Wow.
Because the behavior that they're exhibiting was learned at one stage in their life. Nobody is born violent.
So they have to unlearn it. They have to unlearn that behavior. That is
exactly. They have to unlearn the behavior for the cycle to be broken.
Wow. That's really interesting. And so where is this course, and how can people get on it? Because I'm sure there is somebody who knows somebody who is being battered, or who will be battered, or somebody who is a batterer, and this is a constructive way to intervene. So how can they take this course?
Well, there are many organizations that actually have these courses, because one of the mandates of the federal government to agencies that deal with family and domestic violence is to begin to incorporate what they call the BIP program, battering intervention and prevention programs, into their offering.
So is there if if I wanted to, I need to maybe recommend this to somebody. Can you maybe give us maybe a website, some place to start from?
Okay. Well, one thing that people can always access is the National Domestic Violence toll-free number.
Okay. And that's in America.
But an organization, yes, that's in America. It's the same number everywhere in America. You dial that 800 number and ask for whatever help you need, and they'll point you in the direction of the right resources. But the organization that I work with in Houston is ABDA, Aid to Victims of Domestic Violence.
AIDS to Victims of Domestic Violence.
Of domestic violence, yes.
Okay.
And in their statistics, they said that a prevention study done by the Center of Disease Control between 1994 and the year 2000, 80% of the BIP graduates had not reassaulted in 30 straight months. And the report came from 75% of their female partners.
Wow.
Reporting that they feel very safe with this individual.
Wow. I did, so that's actually proof that this behavior can be unlearned. Because
yes,
I personally didn't think that could happen. But
it can.
Oh, that's absolutely.
But there are extreme cases because it needs participation from the individual, right?
Yes.
So there are cases where the person is not committed to changing, and then you throw the book at them.
Yes. And I like that you throw the book, just keep going, because what is most important is your safety. Onime, let me ask you, because you are in the movie business in Nigeria, and I watch a lot of Nigerian movies, and I think that sometimes these movies also help to, reinforce the behavior of violence, because you see a man who is being rude to his wife or who is shoving his wife, and that man is not a villain in the movie. But here you are trying to make a movie, trying to show that this behavior isn't good. What are you trying to get from this movie, and are you facing any resistance from other people about talking about this kind of issue?
What I'm trying to achieve with this movie is I'm trying to change their mindsets. Our own videos are so powerful. The messages they send across, that's to tell you how powerful a movie is. So I'm trying to change the mindset of the way people reason when it comes to marriage. There's a way a man should talk to a woman. Even if you are provoked, there's a way you should react. So I'm trying to change their mindset that it's not okay to slap the woman just because she tells you shut up. It's not okay to slap the woman just because she tells you are stupid. In the Nigerian movies, it is acceptable. Yes, she insulted him, so it's all right for him to react that way. So I'm trying to change a mindset. I know part of the resistance I've had is there's a way we have the marketers that are in charge of our movies. There's a way they reason. So there's a kind of movies they accept. When you come with this kind of whatever, they're like, what's this? They prefer movies where the mother-in-law is wicked. The son comes. I like this girl. Then at the end of the day, they settle it. They don't like when you push it to their face. This is the truth. So that's about I'm working on it. That's a part of the reasons of going independent. When you're independent, you can bring out your own message.
Interesting stuff. Interesting. And you watch Nigerian movies?
Yes.
I know we all do. And do you what kind of image do you think some of our movies project? Do you have any commentary?
I think what you just mentioned in terms of some of these movies highlighting violence against women. I think that's very truthful, and it's not even a case of she did something or said something to her husband. It's just, hey, beat your wife, and the guy, the man or the protagonist in the story is never seen as a villain. It's always, okay, well, the woman did something wrong. So she said something. Being, shown to the people. So it's pretty much saying, hey, this is okay. This is right.
This is normal.
This is normal. This is us.
Yes.
And that's unacceptable.
It is really unacceptable. And when I see that, I kind of flinch. I'm thinking, what is wrong with these people? The women put food on the table, and the man tasted it, and the salt was too much, and he just broke the plate.
Threw it at her. And that's okay, and that's not. I think we need to do better.
Absolutely.
In our movies, like showcase things that uplift each other.
Yes.
Not,
And there's room. I always say that I don't even talk about I don't compare men and women. Because we're too different. When a man can have a 9-month-old pregnancy successfully and have a baby, then we can talk about gender equality. And the day I see a big snake and I don't run away, then we can talk about me trying to be a man. No, we God has given each person and each gender a different role to play. So there's no reason for us to compete. We should just complement one another. Yes, I definitely agree. And before, of course, we're going to be wrapping this up right now. So let me talk to Abolade. You mentioned something yesterday when we were talking. You said the many movies that address domestic violence in America don't address it from the African diaspora point of view, because you see white women, Asian women, Hispanic women. There isn't really a movie project that is talking about, people of our color. So now we see one across the pond. Is there a likelihood of a collaboration between you and Onime, or you and somebody else who is doing something, that we Africans in diaspora can relate with?
Look, one of the biggest things that I've learned, in my life is that you work with people who are doing what you're doing. So I can work with anybody. So I definitely can work with her because we have the same goal.
Yeah.
Right. Think Future Perfect, one of our major awareness projects, is to put these behaviors on the screen so that people see what it looks like. So I definitely can work with her. And you had said something about gender roles. One of the major blocks of the empowerment programs that we teach is the pursuit of identity, to help people understand what their values and principles are, and what their value add to the world at large is, because nobody can occupy the space that you're standing in.
Absolutely.
And once you understand that, you stop competing with other people.
I like that. It's true.
And you're more or less likely to attack a woman who is empowered because she's showing you up, because you already know who you are.
Yeah, I like that. That's brilliant. And even that cuts across all human race, because we have women attacking women, men attacking men. But if you know that you have a space to occupy in the world and nobody else can play your role, then it's easy for you to just continue to show up as who you are. I like that.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. Can I have final words from Onime?
Okay. My final word on this is I'm trying to change a mindset. I know with God it's very, very possible, because till you change a mindset, you cannot change the behavior of someone. So I know with this movie, I'm going to achieve that. Change your mindset, empower women and let them know that you don't need a man to be who you are. You are beautiful, you are unique, you are special. Thank you.
And so to support Onime's project, please go to Indiegogo.com, and her project is called Battered. So please, she's trying to raise $30,000 to make this movie a reality by December 20th. I hope we will go out there. Indiegogo.com, and the project is called Battered.
Okay.
So we would also tweet out the link. So if you follow us on Twitter or any of our social media outlets, you would get the link from there as well. So I'm hoping that we can support this. And I know there's a lot more coming from Abolade as well. And you can follow her. Think BB, right? Think BB is your Twitter handle. So that's Think BEBE. There is a lot coming, and I'm hoping that we can get, not just from you, fantastic ladies, but from everybody coming out to really, really address this issue of domestic violence against women and children. So thank you so much for joining us today from Lagos, from Houston, and Nana for keeping me company on the show today.
Thanks for inviting me. I
hope you'll be back again another time.
Definitely.
And now you can even guest host the show for me when I'm not here.
I think I can.
I am sure you can. So this was supposed to be your induction. So when I'm in Nigeria, you can, feel free to own the show. And thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for the calls, for the emails, and for the messages on social media for the loss of my dad. I really appreciate all the support I've got from everybody, and I'm happy to be back, and hopefully we'll keep on impacting Africa. Until next week when I join you again, please keep impacting Africa. Good morning.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Africa. Please join us again next Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. GMT at listenvisionlive.com. Have a good week and keep impacting Africa.